Now, in many ways, brandOdyssey is not just due to all of the different philosophies on consumer needs and the past, present, and the future and all that kind of thing. The process of brandOdyssey is a result not just of those philosophies, it's also a little bit of a reaction to the way that marketing research, specifically, in consumer or other investigations, are practiced today. You might even apply it to journalism. There's a difference between reporting and journalism, right? Reporters just regurgitate what they're told or what they see, they report. A journalist gets into the why. Why is this going on? The journalistic analysis, the most revered part, right, of reporting is the journalism, right? And that's the way I look at brandOdyssey. I look at brandOdyssey as the journalism, if you like, being a journalist, using that as a journalistic tool to understand the consumer or the customer or whatever. So this is quite different to the way that a lot of research is being practiced today. It's certainly not the way we began, we began almost 100 years ago doing market research, but it's certainly the way that we've ended up because we have a very rational view of the world, right? Now, I don't have a definitive view on this by any stretch of the imagination. There's a huge array of different techniques and different people doing research, and it spans the gamut, basically. But the fundamental problem, as I see with a lot of the investigations that I see going on over my career, is the way that we collect information from people. Now, on the whole, really, when you think about it, it's quite superficial, the way that we go about doing this, right? So, we design a questionnaire, and these questionnaires now are very efficient because they go online and people tick answers and they press the send button and away they go back, and there's a lot of questions being answered a lot of the time. And then these answers to these questions go through and we put it through some kind of statistical analysis or a factor analysis or whatever. And it comes out that the big answer is, after spending 3 months on a usage and attitude study on deodorants, and now I'm making this up, that the biggest and most important factor to the consumer for deodorants is efficacy, right? The fact that the deodorant works. Now, I'm thinking, well, yeah, okay, sure, okay, is that it? Didn't we kind of know that already? Did we really have to spend all that time and all that money to tell a marketer who's marketing deodorants, for example, that 43%, 43% importance is something to do with efficacy? Didn't we already know that? Right? And in fact, what did we actually expect consumers to say when we asked them questions about deodorant? And again, I'm making this up, right? Did we really expect them to say, well, I use Rexona, right, well-known brand. I use Rexona because I have a deep-seated need to be quite aggressive and competitive in my life, and I feel that this brand, in amongst an array of other brands that I use, but when it comes to deodorant, I feel that Rexona is the brand that actually provides me with that kind of feeling that I'm out there and I've got, I'm fully realising my competitive, aggressive spirit. No, right? No one is going to tell you that because we don't even know that ourselves. That's implicit. That's very, very deep. So let's not expect just a standardised measurement instrument like a questionnaire, right, to do that. What about qualitative? I hear everyone saying, what about qualitative? So I do qualitative work to understand that. And I know this is going to be highly controversial, and a lot of people are going, I'm not going to like hearing this, but my experience of a lot of those kinds of investigations is that we invite people into a room, we get them to sit around a table, and there are snacks on the table, and we explain who we are, and this is a marketing research exercise, and there's a script, there's a discussion guide. We pose questions, we get back answers. People are sitting behind tables, half of their body is covered up, which means, probably about 90% of their communication is actually not even visible to the researcher at all because we're sitting behind a table. Let's think about that, right? What are we actually capturing? And really even what we call the qualitative process is superficial because it's turned into a Q&A. It's a Q&A. This is our problem. This is what's plaguing market research, the notion of the Q&A. And we do it equally when we use qualitative research as when we do quantitative research. And because of that, right, as a reaction to that, I've done that, right? We've all done that. We've done that, right? Put people around a table and ask them questions. I've always felt uneasy, even after the report to the client, I felt uneasy that we hadn't actually really got anywhere, that we weren't really penetrating or providing any real kind of insight. I mean, the client was happy because we all heard what we wanted to hear, right? We all heard answers that allowed us to formulate our marketing plans or whatever, but we haven't been fulfilled in that journalistic sense of getting to the right story, of getting the why, right? And this is why brandOdyssey exists. brandOdyssey exists to strip away that entire layer, to talk to consumers as people, right, as consumers, to get them to have their own realizations, right? Because I want to admit, you know, I don't think that that other process works particularly well, right? It gives a certain amount of superficial information, but then we're pretending that we've discovered insights, and we haven't really discovered insights. All we're doing is packaging up, you know, rationalizations and verbalizations, and let's face it, a lot of unconscious lies, because the respondents themselves don't know why they're behaving the way that they do. That's why the realization is basically so important.